how scary are the Five Nights at Freddy's characters? They're creepy. They're kind of like creepy clowns, but how scary are they actually? And I'll tell you, there are moments in the film, Five Nights at Freddy's, that they come across as creepy and unsettling, but then there's other moments in the film where they're kind of just laughable and silly. And I think the problem is that, like, to what extent do the filmmakers and writers want to lean into that or try and make it work? And making horror films is an art form. Just as making a horror video game is an art form, it is not easy. Readout Production says, Friday Night at Freddy's is almighty lore to some of my fellow Zoomers. It is one of those things I feel is a generational sensation. I liked Friday Night at Freddy's first 3 games and early lore, but the hype has become quite bloated. Well, I think it came out in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So 10 years ago. Like, it totally would have been my jam. At the time, I didn't have a PC, and I'm just, frankly, it scared the freaking hell out of me. I was like, this is terrifying. I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't want to do this. But like, I liked the idea. I thought the concept was brilliant. And I thought look, it was always going to be a bit of a Hail Mary, this movie, because just, the video game concept is all about atmosphere. It's all about you as the player and your psychology of like how much of this can you take before you turn off the game. That's really what it is. So the problem with the film is that how are you going to turn that into a story that's a cinematic experience? Okay, how are you going to do that? I'll tell you, one of the important things you need in a horror film is you need a real sense of a fear of loss. And I think that the relationship between Mike and Abby was pretty good at establishing a kind of fear of loss, because Mike is a very likable character. It's partly the actor is just very likable. He's got a kind of everyman look about him. And the actress who plays Abby, she's pretty likable. Like, sometimes these snot-nosed kids can be really annoying in a movie. She actually isn't, because even when she's being kind of bratty, you can tell that it's because her life has been turned upside down. So you kind of sense that there's a good reason for her. But you also sense that she cares about Mike, and she kind of wants to make this work, but she doesn't really know how. So there's a lot of sympathy you have. And I actually think the relationship between Mike and Abby is really good. Just have it be that, like, the court's going to take her away and he's got to have the job. That's all you need, because all we need is to get his foot in the door. Something weird happens the first night, but it doesn't quite put him off of it. He goes home, and then maybe you have the cop comes in and warns him about the play. Oh, you don't want to go down that road. A lot of history on that road. She's that character, right? She just says, don't go to Freddy Fazbear's. Don't go back. It's a bad job. Well, I need this job. It's not worth it. Security guards go in there and they don't come out. What about you could use like a curse mechanic where it's like, once you enter, there's a magical field that won't let you can go in, but you can't go out. And you have to survive for 5 nights. Like, I'll tell you, one of the other things that torpedoed this film is the 5 nights thing, because the way the film played it is he just has to work the gig for 5 nights. Or I think it's something like that. Anyway, but he goes to the gig, he leaves the gig. He goes to the gig, he leaves. No, that's the wrong way to do it. How about this? Mike is so down on his luck, he literally can't get a job anywhere. But there's some bratty trust fund kids or something, and they say, hey, the legends about that Freddy's place, I'll tell you what, you go in there and live stream yourself or something like that. And you have to stay there for 5 nights, and we'll give you all this money. And he's like, I ain't doing that. I'm not humiliating myself for you. But then he goes home. The court battle is looming. And he's like, it's the only thing I can do. So he has to, like, debase himself for these rich assholes. And he has to stay in there for, like, it's a dare. It's basically a dare. He's being paid to do it. It's humiliating. It's degrading. But he, what choice does he have? And he has to stay, for 5 nights or whatever. And then he gets trapped in there, and it becomes this kind of battle for survival. I think that'd be pretty good. In fact, the officer coming by, because this is really one of the weirdest parts of the movie. He's there one night. It's only like his second night, and this cop shows up, and she knocks on the door. Super hot babe. And she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And she's being super nice. She doesn't even sound like a cop at all. And she's like, oh, do you know anything about this place? And he's like, is there a problem, officer? Doesn't answer the question. Just continues with, oh, well, let me, that cut on your arm looks pretty bad. Let me come in and bandage it up. And then she starts telling him the whole history of the place. She turns on the music and then the animatronic animals start dancing. And she's like, aren't they amazing? Don't you want to dance? And I'm like, what the hell? So, and he doesn't seem to, he's like, okay, well, whatever. Instead of that, you have it be that he discovers that once you go into Five Nights at Freddy, or Five Nights at Freddy, once you go into Freddy's, you can't leave. And so he sees her knocking on the door. Maybe he called the cops or something, and she's responding to the call. And then he realizes she's going to get caught in it too. It's like, no, don't come in here. Don't come in here. And she's like, what seems to be the problem, sir? Just whatever you do, don't come.
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
And so she gets suspicious and she insists, open the door, sir. Open the door right now. I want to see. I'm a security guard. I'm allowed to be here. Open the door, sir. No, you don't understand. If you go in this place, you can't leave or something like that. And then she winds up trapped in there with him. That's the only way this film works. You have to have him locked in there. The horror partly taps into our relatability in waiting out the clock before he may punch out and go home, only to repeat the mundane horror of waiting out the clock. Well, I mean, that's an interesting philosophical take. I can't deny that. I'm just telling you what I see. And what I see is I don't feel any fear or tension when I watch the movie because I know that Mike can just leave. I know that he can just get up and leave the restaurant. And anytime you see a horror movie where you have that feeling that the character can just leave, it kills it. Like, it's the difference between a good haunting story and a bad haunting story. It really is. Because whenever the characters say, I don't want to live in this house anymore, I can't live in this house anymore, you have to believe the reason that they stay. If you don't buy into the reason that they stay, it just becomes obnoxious. Because, well, just go stay at a hotel. Like freaking go stay at a hotel and you'll be fine. What you could do is retool it as a dude with a problem psychological thriller. Okay, here's an idea. But first, this video is sponsored by the high seas action adventure novel Blood and Oak by me, Captain Garrett. Here's the story. When his sister is kidnapped and sold into slavery by the Barbary Pirates, a daring young Navy officer embarks on a suicidal quest for rescue and revenge. This is a story of bloody naval warfare, set during the age of fighting sail, with ruthless rogues, smugglers, cutthroats, and pirates, with deadly sword fights, and tall ships slugging it out with cannons. Available now in Kindle, print, and audiobook. Go to www.bloodanoak.com. And when you get there, there's a free special gift waiting for you from me. Get your copy now. The link is in the description. And now, back to the video. Okay, here's an idea. Maybe it's a really good job. Like, it's paying really, it's weird, it's odd, it's some eccentric billionaire wants me to do this. Why? I don't know, but he's paying me really well. Obviously, because there's a high turnover, which, what's that about? Don't ask questions. Not a good idea. Just, I need this job too badly to ask questions. Okay, fine. First night's not so bad. But then, like, the cop knocks on the door and says, look, you got to quit this job tonight. Do not come back to this place. And he's like, look, lady, okay, I appreciate your concern. I need this job. It's just, you don't understand. This place is a history. It's not, there's a reason they closed it down. Things happen here. You know, kids would come here for pizza. That's almost too silly, but kids would come here for pizza and then they disappear. They'd be possessed. I don't know, whatever. Just, the restaurant has some kind of spooky history and it will affect you. And he doesn't, he's unsettled by it, but whatever. She's full of crap. I don't know what this is about. And then the next night he goes and some things happen and it starts to, and then he goes and he's affected by it. And like, maybe over the course of like, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of kind of like how The Shining has like Jack Torrance getting progressively more insane as he spends more time in the hotel. That might be the way to get at it. I think that might be the way to get at it. He's getting progressively more insane. You just would need a really good reason why his character is motivated to go back. And I feel like a good starting point is he needs the job, but how does that keep him there? And there's only two ways I see. One is like in The Shining, where Jack Torrance literally is beginning to like the hotel. He's beginning to agree with the evil in the hotel. He wants to be part of the evil in the hotel. That's one way to get at it. But why not put the mystery in the restaurant? And that's actually what I think might have worked well. My thought was if the answer to his mystery was in the restaurant itself, that would be a good motivation for him to keep going back and keep surviving these creatures. And there you go. I'm on the fence about Abby's character. I think that she introduces a really good reason for Mike to work so hard. However, she also is the reason the entire plot crumbles at the end because of it just totally ruins all of the monster energy of the film. Could you have made The Shining just about Jack Torrance and not have involved Danny and his mother? Of course not. You need that, because you know what you need in a monster in the house movie is you need innocence. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you loved this clip. Please like and subscribe. And did you know you can join us live every Sunday on the Captain's Cast live show? That's at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, every Sunday. You can join me and the rest of the crew in the live chat as we set sail for more amazing adventures in entertainment, film, video games, etc. And until next time, my dear sailors and starnauts, this is Captain Garrett saying I will see you out there.